I guess I didn't realize this was like a shoes off affair. So I really am sorry if my feet smell horrible. I don't know if you.
I can't smell. I can't smell it at all. I also have a deviated septum, so my sense of smell isn't great, anyways. Because I just like I fart all the time, and I don't care. You know what I mean? So
interesting. So like, is it just coming? Where are you smelling? Where is the smell like situated like differently?
I'm smelling right side, but I'm smelling duller than I think most people experience it just by the different reactions I get. Yeah. I don't fall off my chair at things.
Yeah.
Levels are good.
Okay, great. Thank you, Connor. You rock. Okay. All right, I'll do a little introduction.
Okay.
And then don't worry about your feet, please.
Okay.
Don't.
I'll try not to.
Honestly, yeah, makes it special for me. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Hi, you all. Welcome back to Shay The Good People. I'm Shayna Blass. I'm doing this whole thing. Not really sure why. No, I do know why. So the first part of Shay The Good People is a performance show that I host at Pete's Candy Store in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. Shay The Good People. So I'll do original music on my guitar, and then I'll have 3 different singer-songwriters every single show. And I started recording the show, like the audio recording, capturing the show, the performance show. And then I thought, I want to do something with this music or these people's performances. And I wanted to get to know more people who would come on the show. Because when I started it in early 2022, it was mostly my friends coming on, sharing their songs. I know a lot about them. And then I started running out of friends and I needed new people to be on the show. And I wanted a space where I could get to know them. So I started this, what you're seeing right here and right now. This is Shay and the Good People podcast. So all the good people I have in the studio to talk about their songs, their life, their love, what kind of bacon, egg, and cheese they get at the bodega, whatever we get into. And I'm super excited to have a very special guest here, Hudson Freeman, a very new friend. And also a note, you'll probably hear, not probably, if you're listening to this and you keep listening to this, you'll hear performances from the Shay and the Good People show. I'm trying to phrase that better. I should write it down of the script. But anyways, we're going to talk, and throughout the episode, you're going to hear some of Hudson's live performance from the show. But now he's here in the studio.
Yeah.
In person.
Here I am.
No shoes.
No shoes.
But a hat.
I do have a hat. I'm honestly not sure why. I'm really glad, actually, because the single I released earlier this year has this hat. So,
oh, really?
So I'm kind of like making it my thing, sort of.
You know what? What's the single called so people can listen to it?
That one is called I'm Most Me.
I'm Most Me.
I'm Most Me.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'm Most Me.
I'm Most Me.
Hell yeah. I don't know why that's hard for
me.
The
emphasis, I mean, it's up to the listener.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if they have trouble saying their words, which I do today, it'll be fun to practice.
Yeah.
I'm Most Me.
I'm Most Me.
I'm Most Me. I'm Most Me.
I'm Most Me.
Yeah. Where's the emphasis?
Yeah. I mean, you'll notice the emphasis migrates throughout the song, actually.
That's smart.
If you pay close enough attention.
And naturally it migrates when you say the word. Okay, so you're a genius.
I'm not a genius.
But we're making the hat a thing. I also tried to have a thing. I had this New Year's Eve. I played with a full band at Club Coming in the East Village 2019 going into 2020. So I guess our music caused the pandemic.
Yeah.
But for that show, I found a sparkly silver and black sparkly halter jumper. And I was like, it cost me more money than I wanted to pay. So I was like, you know what? I'll just wear it 1,000,000 times.
Like every performance.
Yeah. But it was 2020, so I couldn't wear it for a year. So then 2021, I was like...
The luster, like it's not there anymore.
I tried to make a thing, and I think that all the air had been sucked out of the glamour of it. And I was like doing photo shoots. I was doing music videos, like upstate in farmland for a song, for like a George Harrison cover in a sparkly jumper. And somebody told me like, Shayna, you're gonna need to have different outfits.
That's really interesting. I appreciate people who are willing to, like, I don't know,
Give us feedback.
Yeah, I mean, are just willing to be, like an actual homie and like not let you just be deluded.
Absolutely insane. Yeah. I'm very lucky. I have a few friends who can really be that honest with me. But I also think as an Aries Jewish woman, I can offer that to people. Sometimes it's not taken well, so I need to read the room a little bit better.
My family's actually, very blunt. And it's like, I mean,
like too blunt.
I don't know why. I don't feel like it's rude, but it's like mostly Southern, I guess. So it's like there's a little bit of charm to it. There's a way that they can kind of sneak in this, like, I don't know, like a coy criticism.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, bless her heart is like
exactly
the best. It's not a backhanded compliment, but it's you know exactly where the person stands and how they think about something, but it doesn't stab you for some reason.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it does. I feel like it does stab me, depending on depending on, I guess, where it's getting sent from, like the person.
Yeah.
But there's like a judgment there, definitely.
Yeah,
but an implicit judgment.
It's so soft.
Yeah.
It's like custard coated.
Yeah, totally.
It's like the sweet sugar.
Yeah.
And where are you from?
I'm like originally from the Dallas, Fort Worth area in Texas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That was where I was born, and I lived there until I was like 13.
Okay.
Yeah. My parents are actually missionaries. They're like evangelical missionaries. So they live in South Africa, and then I moved with them when I was 13. Lived there for a few years. So,
whoa, in South Africa?
Yeah.
Cool.
Technically, there's this like little country inside of it called Eswatini. It's like landlocked inside of South Africa, but it's like very culturally similar. The dialect is very similar to like Zulu in South Africa. Anyway.
Whoa, that's wild.
Yeah.
And then when did you like come back to the States?
Like around like the end of high school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you go to an international school or local school when you were there?
I was homeschooled.
Homeschooled
there. It's like
with the Bible?
The Bible is in play.
For sure.
With a particular bent in the curriculum.
A little skewed.
I don't know, different takes on different ideas, like
for sure
science. Or
aka science, aka the devil.
But that's probably why I got into music. Not just like homeschooling, so having nothing to do and just playing a lot of guitar, but also like evangelical church world is all music. You know, there's just like a lot of, I'd say that's probably like the most positive aspect. Obviously there's a lot of baggage with it, but there's like I would say there's a lot of musicians now that like got to experience like musical community and like a pretty safe space to perform. And so it was like, that's where I learned to be a musician, was just like that church world and the homeschooling church world and whatever. But cool. I don't know. It's weird, obviously.
I'm sure I mean, I've heard a lot of friends have that different story. I mean, just it's like having two things be true, right? Of like having this incredible introduction into music and having the space to practice and being encouraged. Like a lot of music comes from the church. And encouraged to sing and use your voice and
totally
learn how to even just project in a space and not be afraid to be on stage.
But I'm like, even like my partner and I were talking about how like it's a necessarily forgiving audience, right? It's like people are kind of obligated to be on your side in a way that even if you're at like a talent show, your friends would not be obligated to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
there's like
totally.
because of the reverence that you're supposed to have there.
Yeah,
you're like automatically get your high school friends to not make fun of you.
You get more like, yes.
That's emotional.
Amen. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But so like a lot of positive reinforcement is what I'm saying.
Which is huge, which probably, I mean, subconsciously encourages one to feel like, oh, I can do this.
Yeah.
instead of, I feel like a lot of people who, I don't know if you hear this from people or just in the world, anyone who hears what I do or hears me sing or like, oh, I could never sing. I tried to sing when I was 5 years old and my music teacher said that I couldn't like any slight negativity about someone's singing voice usually catapults into trauma of never being able to sing, never wanting to sing in front of people, having to get super wasted at karaoke only to sing. And it's like, oh, I don't necessarily know if that means that person can't sing. But it can go one or two ways. Either your church is like, yes, amazing, even if you're off key. And then it catapults you into like being a full-time musician. Or one person one time says, I can't sing. Doomed.
I definitely...
There's pros and cons.
There's pros and cons, obviously. I honestly, I was just like blanking out because I was like, shit.
Did I just trigger you?
No, it's actually like my fault. Like it's not a thing that was done to me. It's a thing that I think I did probably where like, I think I was like 12 or 13 and my sister's just like annoying the shit out of me singing. And I was like, you're not even that good. It's awful. I know like it is awful, but I was just like, you're not even that good. And then
now
it's like,
she does not sing.
She does, but she like every time we talk about it, it's like, and you remember when you were like 12?
She brings it up.
Yeah, every time, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, you just have to make amends, maybe.
I have, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Right after this. Actually, call her right now. I'm just kidding.
No, I'm not. No.
We do like live calls of apologies on the podcast. That's what it is now.
That actually would be an interesting twist for this show.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, okay. Comes on the show once, already has ideas.
I don't know.
Yeah. That would be hilarious. Or not hilarious. Maybe sad. Maybe intense.
Do you have games planned? I don't know. Some podcasts have games.
I have no games planned.
No games.
I have no games planned. I have no Q&A plan. I have no like listener questions. I have no call-ins. Yeah. It's really just about the artist, about you. I
feel like we've had good reports thus far, but like I don't know. I feel like at some point,
time's not. Yeah, we have some time.
At some point, there's going to be a moment where it's like, man, if we had like a game kind of locked and loaded,
that would be great. But also, that's my challenge and my mission as a host to make sure, because I'm like terrified of silence. And anything quiet. So we'll keep it going. But also,
don't Jimmy Fallon it too, right? Like don't
do that.
Don't have like, like don't fill every space
every second
with that just like obnoxiousness and then like have a game just because you don't have any questions, you know?
Right.
Like you seem like you like trust yourself to be able to come up with a question in the moment. And that's, I trust that that's going to happen, but I'm just saying like maybe it would be a good idea.
Okay, trusting but challenging. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. But it's about you, not about me. As much as I really want to make this about me, believe me, I'm pushing against every instinct.
Is in the
in the title.
It's in the title pretty significantly.
The good thing is, though, that we don't really know each other. So there's a lot of things that I want to ask you.
Did you know about the parents being missionaries thing?
No.
Have I mentioned that before?
I don't think so. Because so we met at a happy hour. Not a typical happy hour, music happy hour through So Far. And I think one of the folks was like, you should talk to Shayna. And then we ended up talking. And then I saw you posted something on Instagram. That you didn't have any shows.
You mentioned it. Was that is that going to be in the podcast, what you said at the show? Did you record that? What you said about how I was like begging?
Yeah, it's on there.
Okay.
It's not, it may not, I don't think it'll make it to this.
Okay, well.
It's just musical.
Before my performance, Shayna said that I was essentially begging.
I wasn't going to mention
But
it.
I agreed, but it was funny. I remember that particular. I was begging.
And also like, first of all, proud of you because like you come to New York, you have to fucking ask for what you want grind. And people don't know that. And I want to ask you about that too. I want you to speak to the people about you haven't been in New York you've been here for a year.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
Which is not a lot of time at all. And also you came here post-pandemic, so 2022.
Yeah.
Which is like, I would say that's for musicians and for singers and for songwriters, unless you had like an incredible, you picked up, unless you were like Lizzie McAlpine, where your music just blew up online.
Right.
If you're just a regular person who moved to New York, 2022 is actually when music was able to start again in New York.
Yeah.
So you kind of got here, to me, in my mind, year one was year one of music happening again in New York.
Yeah. I mean, so I graduated in 2020. So I graduated from college into the pandemic. And the plan originally, it's so fucked up.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah. I have plenty I could say on that. And most of my music is kind of evaluating where I've gone psychically since that whole event happened and continues to play out ricochet. But anyway, I graduated in the middle of that, and the plan was to move to New York like pretty soon after graduating. I was planning on.
Where were you?
I graduated from a small private evangelical college in the Midwest in Missouri. So I studied music production there. It was mainly just like a music degree.
That's cool.
Like a pretty standard bachelor's of arts degree, but then you had like some engineering, like recording classes and stuff.
Okay, cool.
But anyway, I was gonna like save a little bit of money over that summer and then move immediately. But then obviously it just didn't make any sense to do that.
It was pretty depressing.
Yeah.
I'm most me when I can't be myself with someone else when I'm myself. I'm most me when I lie, when I'm mad, I ugly cry. I'm most me when I'm impatient, I'll admit, when I know I'm full of shit, when I'm running out of bits. Someone else when I'm myself. Someone worse, someone well.
But even like last year, I did sense that it was something that was only like burgeoning. Like it wasn't it wasn't like, oh, it's all happening, I'm here. It's like no, everybody's kind of figuring it out actually.
Did that make you feel better about your arrival time, or nervous that you made the wrong decision?
I think I do retroactively feel better. I would say probably at the time getting here last year, it feeling pretty isolated and not really knowing people here, it definitely didn't feel like it was in my favor. But now, at least as a songwriter, I feel like I actually do have interesting things to say about life since 2020, and I don't actually feel like I want to shy away from that experience. Not necessarily that I like want to write songs about the pandemic or whatever, but like I kind of have had this sense that I'm I don't know, I'm like really trying to feel out the way people feel in this moment in time, like in this like not just the way we felt before Trump or the way we felt before COVID or whatever, and like trying to like bring us back to that. I feel like we have to like really investigate what it means to live here right now in like 2023 with all of that, like all of the history behind us. We have to like, I don't know. I feel this idea like that as a songwriter, I could like contribute to understanding the present.
Yeah. Of course. I think songwriters are, in my mind, maybe just because I'm want to be one or
aspiring songwriter.
yeah, because I'm kind of one of them.
Because I want
no, but that's our gig, right? It's just being mirrors.
Yeah.
Being musical mirrors where like comics are like laughter commentators, mirrors.
Yeah.
And we're the sound and they're the like talky in a way.
I do feel like you seem
Psycho?
maybe I'm you seem like fucking like crazy.
Oh, you're paying attention. That's
no,
sweet.
like from experiencing like your Riz or your stage persona or whatever, it feels like you seem to have a natural appreciation of like comedy and like stand-up stuff. Am I reaching there?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I have so much respect for comics.
That's
I
awesome.
love comedy. I think this happens to, I'm not saying I'm special when people give this reflection to me, but sometimes I'll be meeting new people or around people or even just like at my catering gig and make people laugh like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
And they're like, are you stand up? Like, no, like just because you stand up is really hard. And I also find a lot of stand up comics save kind of that energy. And I would say I'm more of like, I prefer to be or look up to like Bette Midler or like those kind of like big cabaret personalities.
Sure.
I like feel like I kind of missed that era. Like I would definitely be in like, if I was in like the 30s or 40s, well, I'm a Jewish person, so maybe that's not sure where I would have ended up, but I love the like Catskill era, like Borscht Belt, like Joan Rivers type, even before like a Phyllis Diller type of like, like a summer comedy with the like they would sing music and swing and then they'd go into like a couple bits or something.
This is just like an aside thing, but did you ever get into Marvelous Miss Maisel?
Get onto it or watch it?
Did you watch it?
Yeah.
Did
I get on the show? No, I never did.
Did you try to get on the show?
Not that hard, but I do feel like my ancestors are upset at me that I never auditioned for it. But yes, and it was also hard to watch because I'm like, fuck, I want that to be me.
That should be me.
That should fucking be me. She's not
that person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But thank you also for the reflection. I like hosting. I like entertaining.
Sure.
Like of course I love doing full band gigs with my band and like doing the funk rock music, but I also just like a community aspect to performing and that kind of old school like variety show.
Yeah. I guess the compliment I was going to pay to you is that like
please don't. No compliments to me, please.
It's like it's just a small one. It's just hold your roses.
I don't know.
I feel like I actually am. This is like a hot take. I'm gonna throw on this podcast.
Oh yeah.
But I actually am like pretty generally uninterested in like what musicians have to say between songs. And I like
that honesty.
Yeah, I would prefer like performers to just like
shut the fuck up.
Either shut the fuck up or like or be funny or like I don't know, like so the type of like comedians that I got really into in high school were like some of these kind of alt comedy people that had like were playing music while they were doing jokes and stuff, like Flight of the Conchords or like Dimitri Martin, whatever. But I kind of, not that I think I don't have the capacity to write jokes actually, but I do think the idea of having, I don't know, being a musician and like writing songs that are interesting and just like letting them speak for themselves and then I don't know, just trying to have fun at a show. And I like that probably more than being like, this is like my song. And like, I mean, you know, it's like, it was kind of just like a therapy session for me writing this song. And then they're like, and it's just like, I don't need to hear it. I don't need to hear that. Of course it was. Like, why else would you be a songwriter? Like, say something funny or interesting or like say something random or talk about what you saw that day or...
Yeah.
That's just my hot take, but it's like,
sure.
It's kind of cruel. I understand we come to see the sad people play the sad music. I understand, but like, I don't know.
It's true. And shout out to Irving Kadori, who records all the Shay and the Good People shows, performance shows, and he edits these podcasts. And you were on the July show that we had this year. He texted me after, because he mixes and masters all the shows, and he texted me, he was like, hey, I just uploaded all the sets from the July show. It was a really sad one. Everyone who sang on our July show was like, we were all just doing super sad music. Not to dissuade you from coming to the live performance show, but like, I think it's really important because a lot of my songs are really sad, because that's a side of me I don't really show people. Is like, is my depression, is my like ahuahs-huahs, which is my like sad teary moments.
I like that.
So people know if they're listening with the sound off. Yeah, my ahuahs-huahs. I like to completely contrast it too. So I do think I like when people just show themselves. So if they're gonna be depressed while singing and performing and talking about it, I'm like, hell yeah. Like you're going all in with the theme and you have the costume on. I love it. But I also feel like sometimes it's
okay. So I think I'm with you. It's just like, it's like you have to be able to pull it off sometimes. Right. And it's almost like, and you said like, you have to be in the costume. You have to be devoted to it.
Yes.
And I think like, I almost feel like at this point, like therapy culture online is like just so widely distributed and like so widely known by so many people that I'm like, I don't want to hear anything from a musician about that. Like it's like, you know, everybody gets that stuff. Like we're going to the musicians because they're trying to like reflect on something really nuanced and complex and like kind of hard to get at, and they have to express it emotionally, because it's like you can't put it in words, you can't signify it completely. It's more than just like something that I could, I don't know, at an AA meeting or whatever. You know?
Are you in program?
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I'm really interested in the 12 steps and stuff.
Oh, really? Okay. Maybe I am almost 3 years sober. I went to a couple AA meetings, but I'm in another 12-step program.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so happy to talk about it.
Yeah, interesting. So like, is there any kind of like spiritual religious component to it, or is it like secularized, or is like, no? It's
hella spiritual.
It's hella spiritual.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Absolutely.
Is it like got some Buddhist shit in there at all?
No, it's the word
I've
God.
heard some. It is God.
It is God.
Yeah.
But it is open to like whatever that means for you.
Sure.
So like I was studying, and I guess I still do, talked about it on the show, on this podcast before, but I spent about 2 years chanting Nam-myoho Renge Kyo.
Okay.
It was like Nichiren Buddhism.
Okay.
And I've studied I worked at Kadampa Buddhist Meditation Center, which is up in Glens Bay, New York, a couple times. I really liked Buddhism. I was going to a couple, not meetings, not services, but whatever they're called. Whatever they're freaking called, of Kadampa, that branch here in the city back in like 2018, 2019. I really love the concept of Buddhism. There's an incredible podcast called Secular Buddhism, hosted by Noah Rasheta, that I like religiously listened to for a year. I'm like an all-in person for a short amount of time, and then I'm kind of like a redirection. But I will commit 100% for a period of time. So I would say with 12 steps, this is just me. You can use God, you can use universe.
Sure.
Like when people are using the Serenity Prayer or reciting the Serenity Prayer, they've said, universe, grant me serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference, instead of God. But I think it's pretty heavy in spirituality, and I think also, I guess I should only speak for me. I can only speak for myself as an artist, or continuing to even live in New York City. I have to have a spiritual practice, whether it's the steps or meetings or Buddhism or whatever it is. Like, it's I have to have one. It's the way that I can get up in the morning and continue. It's a lot of my spiritual work is letting go of control. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I feel like I have a pretty, I don't know, I obviously have like said before, I was like raised evangelical. I'm not evangelical anymore. I still describe myself as religious, but like very generously so. And I don't really, I don't believe in like relativizing religion and like saying, well, this thing is basically the same thing as this thing, or like this thing is like, they say it this way, but it's all just the same thing or whatever. I feel like relativizing is kind of flattens things and says some things are one thing and they're not. Anyway, that's kind of an aside or whatever, but I still feel like really interested in religion and philosophy, and I really like, I call it like flirting, you know, like I like flirt with a lot of different ideas, and it feels really impossible to have like, I don't know, at this point I don't really want to be in the evangelical church anymore, but I also don't really feel like I could quite honestly like join another tradition or another church and like feel like I'm really truly a part of it, because it does feel like there's like this cultural component to it that's kind of hard to I don't know, like insert yourself. I know, like it's like weird when, I don't know, like white people are like really like too into a particular religion that they like don't have a lot of like cultural attachment to, for me sometimes.
Yeah. I'm sure, a lot of people struggle with that, of like just identity and wanting to belong to a community. And at least for me, I feel lucky with Judaism in that way, because it is like, it has been or can be an identity, even though it's a religion. But American Judaism, you can also kind of hold on to it in different ways. Yeah. Of like music and art, or it has some kind of history, or there's like traditions that feel also very American. Sure. Which are, you know, everything's all made up anyways, and doesn't necessarily have to be with a connection to God. You know, you can be Jewish but not religious in this country, I feel like, which is wild and isn't the same potentially with Christianity.
Well, I mean, certainly not evangelicalism. I feel like there is like kind of an idea that you really have to believe it in order to be a part of it. That you have to like agree and assent to the propositions of like, we believe the Trinity, so like you have to believe the Trinity in order to, you know what I'm saying? Like basically you have to agree to the list of ideas in order to be a community member. Yeah. But that's not necessarily the case in all Christian traditions. I know I went to like an Episcopalian church for a little while, and it's pretty anti-exclusivist and pretty universalist and kind of progressive, and wouldn't require people to be anything in order to get a blessing or in order to but it's, I don't know, I'm fascinated by it mostly. I feel like I don't want to ever like have the like this feeling that I'm like dismissing, or if I feel like I know all that I need to know about anything. I feel like this feeling of like the world is really complicated, and that there's a lot to be uncovered in these like traditions and like the literature of those traditions, and like you said, the practices, how we can live those practices individually and then with one another. I do feel like, I don't know, I'm gonna get on my hobby horse a little bit and say that like,
hop on.
We don't have that much time, but but like I feel like, you know, we're musicians, and like necessarily kind of in competition with one another and kind of like competing for the spots. That was something that we even like talked about at that like Q&A we did. Where it's just like, it's not like people are gatekeeping out of malice, you know? It's not like a lot of people are really like gatekeeping these influential positions or gatekeeping these like opportunities you can get as musicians, as much as there's like literally not enough.
It's just a ratio.
It's like
just
there's
math.
literally it's like there's a scarcity of opportunities, right? And so I feel like, I don't know, like we're left throughout the working day kind of feeling alienated from one another and not really being neighborly to one another necessarily. And musicians are kind of like, I don't know, we're not like, we don't have a writers union or like some kind of like actors thing where we're in solidarity with one another. Like we're actually kind of, like I said, kind of competing against each other. And that feels like a really contradictory thing that we have to like grapple with.
Well, that's why spirituality is so important to me, because you're completely right. Like it's just like accepting what is. That's what I use my connection to my higher power or my God, of like accepting what is and letting go and knowing that I have choice about how I feel about everything.
Okay.
So I personally never use the word competitive or competition because I don't want to feel in competition with other people. I'm only in competition with myself. I know that's like so gauche. Like
it's pretty funny.
That's like giving memes, like in an Instagram meme. But it's like, if you study the Stoics or if you read like Marcus Aurelius, like it's only you in the world. Like this is not his teaching, this is like more me, but like you're the only one living in your body. So if you want to see your situation or see the world and only see the limited opportunities and feel in competition, that's what you're going to get. That's how life's going to play out for you.
Yeah, mine is, it's not really from like, it's coming out maybe from a different angle that I'm coming out of, like thinking about competition. It's like more of like our political situation necessarily than like our psychic condition or whatever. Like I guess I do agree that it's like we have to get past our own selves as a barrier and like realize the project of ourselves in some sense, right?
Sure.
But it feels like I just want to, what I came out of the pandemic into, like what I came out of like graduation into was like so few opportunities and just like, just like a really collapsing industry. And that I feel like part of, it's not just like the songwriting, but just like my own personal desire as a musician is like, how can we be taking care of one another, and like how can we have a culture and like an ethic of responsibility to one another, of not just like telling one another to pull themselves up by their own bootstraps, but like really like saying no, like we're gonna all like come together and demand that royalties get raised so we can actually make any money on Spotify, you know, or something. It requires us to come together in those ways. And I guess the political thing was the thing I was pointing at.
Totally.
I think it's valid what your counterfactual kind of came
at. I mean, and I think I love that we get to chat about this, and I love that you're on the podcast, because the majority of the people that I make music around or with are more my age, which I'm in my early 30s, and I came out of school pre-pandemic, like when I was your age, like I was in DC at the time, and I was doing theater and I was doing music, you know, hustling, auditioning, working at restaurants, I worked at a butchery, you know what I mean? Like, and trying to figure out how to make it work. But like, at least the world that I went into school with was the same world that when I came
resembled it.
Resembled it. Yeah. So even though it was fucking hard, and it's still fucking hard, and I went through a pandemic, but I don't know, maybe I had more resources, like network wise, just because I happen to have been in New York a little bit longer. So like, I don't want to downplay your unique entrance into being a musician after the pandemic.
I mean, it's like you said, it's not
totally
just, it's not just me. It's like, like younger people in general. It's like just kind of the writing on the wall is a little bit different.
Yeah. And I think the two things of like, it's up. It's like up and down. Like it's your head to heart connection. It's your mind. It's your spirituality. It's how you talk to yourself. It's your subconscious brain. It's your traumas. It's what do you think about yourself when you look in the mirror? There's that connection. And then there's the there's like the horizontal.
But that's what I'm saying is so important about this, because it's like, I got out of, like graduated. I was like recording music. I was releasing music and stuff. But like it was like the things of like social media, like uplifting independent artists had like started to grind to a halt the like longer we go through the pandemic and the more saturated that market gets on TikTok or whatever. Part of what's so important to me about like, at least like talking about what's politically at stake is saying like, we can actually take some of the guilt off of ourselves about these things, that we can like, that basically I don't have to like get down on myself for not trying hard enough to be a musician in a world where it's really, really hard to be a musician.
Yeah.
I can actually be like, oh, like it's really hard. Like I don't have to like pummel myself. I don't have to self-flagellate. I don't have to be like, why don't you hustle harder? It's like, no, I am trying. I'm trying really hard. And a lot of people are trying really hard. And it's a lot of pure contingency that gets people to the places that they are, like just being around the right people at the right time. I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just saying
that's how we
like,
met.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's just like, it is luck. It's not something that you can like spontaneously make happen sometimes.
Brutalize me, I'm bored. I won't cry. Just to know I know more. Killing time. I'm way past me leeways. I shoot time in the face.
Yeah, and I think that's a good reality. And like I personally, only for me, take out competition because like just me personally, that doesn't motivate me, because if I think about the competition, that feels negative, and then that feels like angry for some reason. That's my trauma, how I grew up, because there was a lot of screaming and yelling in the house.
Okay,
and so like for me, I have to feel quieter and I have to feel softer with myself.
I feel like recognizing, being conscious of the competition is like more realizing the universal position that we're all in. Right? It's more like being like, it's not saying like, oh, now I'm going to start consciously thinking how I'm in competition with the people around me, but being like, we're all kind of unconsciously being in competition with one another. And maybe if we were conscious of it, we could like be kinder and more solidaristic to one another as a result of it.
Yeah, I would love for that to happen.
That'd be awesome. That'd be fucking sick, dude.
Yeah, if we had like, more mutual aid for musicians and artists, and like that begins with conversation. That begins with getting more people in the room. That's getting like, who do we talk to? Yeah. And the only way I know how to do it is, and maybe, and for me to not to avoid negativity, because you can never avoid negativity, but I'm always like, well, what else can I do as one person in my art? Yes, I write music. Yes, I produce music, but it's also equally important to me to have a show where I can feature other people.
I was literally going to say, is like, I think what you're doing is actually politically significant in this way. As like, and not to say that it's like, it like transcends to like political activism, but the idea of like essentially saying, okay, well, like there really is this gatekeeping problem, but rather than moralize it and like making other people feel bad about it, you're saying like, I'm going to like find a way to like create and produce myself these social connections and like make it easier for people like me who didn't know anybody to like meet everybody I've met so far, you know?
Yeah. I'd like to. And also like, I know that I can't have like a million people on every show. There's only one a month. Yeah. Like Pete's gives me this much hours. Yeah. So like, also if somebody wants to be on the show and I've already booked it or I don't have space, like I don't want that to feel like a gatekeeping because there are, again, there's like this opportunity, but like but like email Pete's and ask them if you can do a show there or like, you know, a person to do something. Like know that there's a lot of people doing what we want to do. We could say that in a lot of other industries. And I think both having both perspectives, like maybe I'm a little bit too optimistic about it, of like, I'm just going to keep doing this thing and like put like the horse's blinders on, not to check out of the world, but to be like, I know I can only do so much. And I constantly am worried that I'm not doing enough. Like I'm not releasing music. I'm not doing all the things I should, like, I don't want to shit all over myself.
Yeah, totally.
And know that just to say that, if for some reason someone here's like lives in Missouri and wants to move to New York and be a musician, if they hear there's like way too much competition here, like I'm just not even gonna try. But like I'm still trying to figure out like how to hold both. Like there's how to not make myself feel like shit for not doing the things that I want to do or fear the things that I don't have and just focus on like the little W's, like the little wins.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
How to have both.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think what I was trying to get at with the single we talked about at the beginning, the I'm Almost Me, is like trying to like, I guess, think through the ways we have to hold tension and throughout our lives and basically be able to hold contradictory ideas about ourselves, about the world, about our relationship to the world.
Yeah.
And that like, we can't necessarily have this like, I'm this all the time. Like we have to adapt. We have to be kind of plastic, you know, and not just we have to be, but like we are, like we just find ourselves being different ways every day. And wherever we are, there we are, you know?
Yeah. Truly.
I really messed up that
Greater
quote.
Words have never been spoken. Do you have a spiritual practice or a morning practice, like something you do every day?
I don't. I read every day and I make that kind of something that's, I block out time for, and I kind of always am reading about something that's addressed to my concerns and moral and political interests and whatnot. But
cool.
Yeah.
What are you reading right now?
I'm reading a book called The Philosophy of Care. And it's like different philosophers throughout time, like their understanding of care and self-care. And it's pretty dense and tough, and I'm not smart enough actually really to read it, but I find it really fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything that has stuck out to you so far that you're like, oh, I'm already kind of embodying that?
Mm-hmm. In the book?
Yeah.
I mean, it's more like that's why I was saying like I'm not smart enough. It's like kind of like a philosophy book and not as much like a self-help book, not a knock against self-help, but like, so it's like, it didn't really give me like tools or whatever, but I think it did interestingly talk about how we are all necessarily caring for things, and like it's not all production. We're not all like creating things as much as we're like maintaining them and taking care of them, and like that's our relationship with the world. It's relationship with relationships. It's one of fostering. It's not one of constant production. It's reproduction.
Yeah. And I mean, I imagine there are philosophers from, history.
Time in memoriam.
Yeah. So not like all modern day philosophers,
Mhm.
which, I can tend to feel like my problems or our problems as a whole, as Americans or as the world, as like so unique to now.
Mhm.
Like, I think the human experience of like,
Mhm.
that's something, maybe not everybody, but like human civilizations have always wanted to care for each other.
Sure.
And I think more of us maybe skew more of wanting to, but it's for right now in this moment in time, it feels like it can easily feel like no one cares about anyone else but themselves.
Yeah.
I don't think that's like a unique experience to our modern day and age.
Sure.
But
the problem of having to like, work out, I think you're talking about something that's like difficult, it's like, it's difficult how much you care for yourself and then care for others, and like the tension between those things.
Yeah. And the philosophy of care and I guess the doomsday of like, well, humans have got it right up until now and we're fucking ruining it for everyone. And can feel like that that maybe toxic individualism that I have.
Totally.
Well, I'm not going to ever be able to do enough, and I don't care enough about people. People don't care enough about me. It's like, well,
I just think that's not true. We know, like, intuitively that's not true. Like, I feel like we know the care and love we've experienced by one another. And I think we're more baffled by when we don't receive that. And like, we're trying to account for like why that is the case. And so it's like the idea that, I don't know, we're running over time, but the idea of like
the time, sweetie, I got this.
Okay, like the it's I lost my train of thought. What did you last say?
I yelled at you.
No,
I don't remember, but what I'm going to try to make it more succinct is the level in which day to day, I feel like the larger we, are doomed and feeling responsible for the people that I have in my life to make them not feel like that.
Yeah.
It's helpful for me to know like psychology of care or philosophy of care.
Yeah.
That like this also might just be a human train of thought.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, it is tough. And I like, there's so much internet memes like about internet memes about this of like, I don't know, like people like weaponizing your obligation to care for one another. Right. And like being like, I like kind of holding it against you, or like essentially just needing constant whatever. And we literally can't do it, like in order to care for myself, I can't just be available to everyone all the time. Right. And so there's like, there's a lot of funny things like posts, all this like Instagram self-help stuff that I think like shows people like trying to figure out how to use the language and like having boundaries or whatever. But it's like, I feel like we really should be gracious to one another, that it's like, it is hard to care for one another.
Yeah.
Like, it's not immediately obvious how one should care for another person.
Right.
And what that other person needs.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even obvious to you what you need.
Yeah.
It's not even obvious to me, like what I need out of a relationship or need in a given day. It's like, it's a little bit, I'm having to figure it out myself, and
yeah.
So I think that gives us a reason to be kind to one another for not always, or for coming up short sometimes.
Totally. And the last bit, even just to circle it back to what you were saying about musicians banding together, and we happen to live in New York City, which is a wild place to live with tons of people.
Sure.
And we really have to create that for ourselves on a smaller level, because the systems don't care for us.
Yeah.
Sometimes, most of the time, maybe, or it can feel like the larger system, which can be mommy and daddy, don't feel like they care for us. So just, again, it all starts with the self, of how well you can tune in and take care of yourself.
Sure.
So you could show up for other people how they want to be cared for.
Yeah. But don't be a toxic individualist. Don't hate yourself for not trying hard enough.
And don't make that mean you don't do anything at all.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we could just talk for hours and hours and hours. Maybe, who knows? Maybe we'll have you back.
We didn't really talk about
music at all.
Wow.
And that's how it goes sometimes. But if people want to hear your music because they're interested and pissed that I didn't talk to you enough about it, where can they find you on the internet?
They can find me at thehuddog.wave on Instagram. That's my tag. And then you can find my music at Hudson Freeman on any platform of your choosing.
Nice.
I'm on YouTube. I got vids.
Cool.
I don't really have merch. Music.
All right. Hudson Freeman, Hudson like the river.
That's right.
Type that in anywhere. And thank you guys for tuning in. Come see the show. We're at Pete's Candy Store. Follow us on Instagram at Shay The Good People. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
You don't talk anymore. When you do, you don't try. What's the point going out to say we did portal life? I should just get this up. And I should just get this up. I don't hate myself this much. This much. Thank you, everyone.